Alright, what's up guys? Here for another video. You join me in the middle of the great town of Bury St Edmunds once again. The Green King Brewery is just on my left coming up. Well, I think it's actually here already. Going down the narrow one-way streets at the moment, trying to make my way to the other side to head towards Stowmarket. I'm not actually, that's not the final destination, but that's the way I'm heading. See the cathedral. Is it a cathedral? Or is it? No, it was an abbey. But yeah, we're heading towards the Suffolk coast today. We're going to see a castle, as well as potentially some old coastal fortifications and research stations that are on the Suffolk coast. Specifically, we're heading to Orford, so Orford Castle and the surrounding area. So it should be quite enjoyable seeing this this medieval castle. It's quite a cool castle. It's quite small in stature compared to a lot of other castles, but it makes it quite interesting in the way it's laid out and everything like that. I've never actually been before, but I've done a little bit of research, and we will learn more about it as we go along. Let's enjoy the ride, and let's see some cool things on the Suffolk coast. Okay, you join me at Claydon now. I've kind of skipped over the bit that you would have kind of already seen before. Obligatory rev through the tunnel. I skipped over the bit that you would have seen before. Basically, I took the route that I took when I picked up my motorcycle in my first video. Well, you might not have seen that video before, but it's there if you want to see it. Yeah, this is Claydon. I'm breaking new ground now. I've never ridden here before. I've never been here before at all. We just went under the A14 again. We're further east of Stowmarket now, so I've got a couple of instructions in my head of what I've got to do. I've got to turn left here, and then there's a right down Church Lane. It's Church Lane. I'm guessing it's this one. It looks like the last road in the village, so here we go. Someone turned in here with me. That's annoying. I hate being followed, especially when I don't know where I'm going. But I think I basically just have to follow this road until I end up at the 1078. No doubt I will doubt myself. This is a nice little road though. I love little roads like this. It's so much more fun going off the beaten track or going onto the beaten track compared to, well, that's why it's called Church Lane. There's the church. It's so much more fun going off onto the kind of lesser used roads, smaller niggly bits of the UK, rather than just staying on the A road sitting at 60 the whole time. What a lovely bit of countryside. So much green, some nice houses. It can't be still 30 down here, can it? I suppose I should just go the speed that I feel safe. I've already forgotten the name of the road that I gotta go down. Where are we? It must be right down here, surely. I'm gonna have to check the map again, aren't I? Okay, yes. Straight ahead. Let's turn into Piccadilly Circus here. Straight ahead, okay. And then we should be able to just follow signs on the 1078 and it should lead us to Orford. That should be the last time I look at the map, in theory. Ooh, a little kink in the road, little chicane. Such a nice area. Some little bungalows, some little roads, away from all the hustle and bustle. Straight across, this is that crossroads. let's not get taken out. Okay, I think we're coming up to another junction, it seems. There was a car that went across. This looks like more of a main road, so I expect it to look like that. I think I have to turn left. I hope. I should have checked that. Do I? I don't fucking know. Okay, we have made it to the correct road. Although it says left there, I believe I need to go right though. Anything come in? No. Unfortunately, at this point, my GoPro audio decided to stop working. I have no idea why. It did start working later in the video again. Unfortunately, the rest of the ride there, it is completely silent. Thankfully, the video is still working, so you can get voiceover Ed in the meantime. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Orford Castle itself and the history of the area, because it's really interesting, and the reason why Orford Castle was built, and some interesting later things that happened in the wake of that. So essentially, the general rule for why castles were built were for someone to stamp their authority in the area. Obviously, usually the crown, the king most of the time, I guess, or the queen, and stamping the authority area means building a castle and showing their might and their military strength, and that is exactly why Orford was built. The reason it was built was not because of war or trying to retake the land. It was actually built because essentially there were powerful nobles in the area that were making a lot of money from trade across the channel. Obviously the southeast of England is super close to France and the continent, main continental Europe, and a lot of trade was happening, and the crown was seeing these nobles getting very rich, and King Henry II is the one that actually commissioned the castle. 1165 it started being built in the town of Orford. Construction was finished in 1173, and at a very similar time, Framlingham Castle, not far away, slightly further inland, was actually being built by the Bigod family, the powerful family in the area. And tensions between the Bigod family and the crown would actually stay through to the reign of King John, even after Orford Castle's completion. Essentially, the Bigods were very unhappy that King John was taxing them so much, and they made him sign the Magna Carta, which was essentially a royal charter that made King John a bit more reasonable, as he was a bit more of a hated king, taxing a lot, unlawful imprisonment. And King John actually eventually laid siege to Framlingham Castle and took it from the Bigod family. So essentially just stripping them of their power manually. And eventually it was actually returned to the Bigod family, but you can see that the tensions in the area stayed high even after Orford Castle was built. Orford Castle essentially would have taken control of the large port that had grown in Orford. And obviously, taking control of the port, you can take control of the trade that's coming in and out as well. And we're just coming into Orford now, the town itself. My first impression of it was it hasn't really been ruined by modernisation. There is actually a new housing estate being built on the outskirts, which is a bit of a shame. These new housing estates in England are horrible in my opinion. They're all Dutch blueprint, boring houses, but I guess that's just the way it is at the moment. But yeah, it's a lovely town, and soon we will see the lovely keep of Orford Castle that has been standing for over 800 years, and it is standing proud still on its mound. And I was pretty amazed when I first saw it. It's a really cool little castle, and let's take a look inside. So here we are on approach to the keep, the sole surviving actual structure of the original castle. Originally it would have had a big stone wall surrounding it and a big ditch, but it is just the keep that actually stands today that would have stood inside the walls. As we head inside, we see the first kind of room of the central tower and lots of little rooms actually jutting off this. It's really interesting having this kind of central column of large rooms, and then surrounding it has lots of little places. We see here, this one is a kitchen and the latrine or toilet. No flushing toilets at this time though, it's just a hole in the side of the building that drops down and drops to the floor. As we head down the spiral staircase into the basement, we actually find a well in the center, as well as a few more storage spaces jutting out, as well as a bricked up prison cell, which was, it's bricked up now, you can't actually see it, but yeah, this is where the prisoners would have been held. As we head back up the spiral staircase, past the floor we were on in the entrance, and up a little bit, we find a little hallway, a little corridor, and off this corridor is actually the chapel. Obviously religion was everything a few hundred years ago, and we can see what is left of the altar, and next to that is a little sink for washing the communion vessels. This room would have obviously been much more richly decorated than it is now. Obviously it's deteriorated, and this little chapel would have had a chaplain, a private member of the clergy, essentially a private priest, and his chambers were further down the hallway as well, as we can see, and another little private toilet for him. As we head up once again, we'll be entering the Great Hall, which is essentially the main room of the actual castle itself. This is where, if the king was staying at the castle, this is where he would stay, or it was the main entertaining area of the castle, the main living space. There is a handy little kitchen on the side, as well as another chamber and some storage areas as well. But this is definitely the grandest room of the castle. As we head up again, this time to the upper second floor, there is another small corridor off to the side, and we can see there's actually a hole in the right here. This originally would have not actually looked down onto the Great Hall. There would have been a wooden gallery, but obviously wood rots away and it was lost at some point, and now it's just an open gap. But we move further down and we actually see the cistern for the castle, or the water tank that would have stored water for the castle. Finally, we head to the roof of the castle itself. It's actually quite interesting, this part, even though it's just a roof. There is actually quite a few little cubbies, some for storage, but there is actually a little baking oven in one of them. Obviously not used for a while, but it's there. What's interesting about the roof is it's actually reinforced in the 20th century for World War II. A gun placement here, an anti-aircraft gun would have been placed on top of Orford Castle to protect Britain from the Nazi invasion, the Battle of Britain. So even after all this time, it was used in defence not only of the area but of the country. It's really fascinating in my opinion. And then if we look over Orford, we can actually see more World War II installations in the distance, more towards the coast, over the marshes. These were research stations and radio positions, and what an incredible view it is actually. As we look over at the other side, we can actually see the earthworks as well that would have originally housed a ditch and the original perimeter wall of the castle, of the fortress. And we're back outside now for some final views of the keep. It's a beautiful piece of history on the English countryside, and I really enjoyed being there. Yes, that was Orford Castle. What an incredible place. It really surprised me how there's so many little corridors and stuff like that. I went to Bath Castle, was it earlier this year or last year? Sometime, I can't remember. And it was similar, kind of similar size. In fact, this was probably smaller, but there wasn't nearly as many like little corridors and stuff like that. So the space usage in this castle is pretty incredible. You can see the infrastructure with the kitchens and the sinks, and the water tank at the top. It's all very cool the way they've done it. So I think I'm going to head down the village, or the town, not sure what it is to be honest. It used to be a town in the medieval period, but I don't really class it as a town anymore, personally. Probably is a town. Head towards the water and see what's down there, and probably get some lunch. I'm sweating my arse off though. Jesus Christ. It's a bit hot walking around in a bloody biker jacket, I'll tell you that much. I've left it slightly open for now because I'm not going far. What a lovely little town. I bet it's expensive to live here. Look at all these lovely buildings, man. I'm gonna ride, I know the car park's there, but I'm gonna ride further down. I could probably leave my bike somewhere. Oh, there's another biker down here, so... Oh, there is space. Oh, wow. Look at this. Oh my god, it's so amazing here. Oh, that's the Nassau Cross Ferry. Yeah, I'm not getting my bike on that. Definitely a walking place. It's quite far to walk over there. Yeah, so I think I'm going to end this video here. I think it's a good spot to finish. I don't think I'm going to head across to the World War II installations today. If you could maybe see on the GoPro. Maybe I'll zoom in. It looks like quite a walk, and to be honest, I'm not really up for that in my motorcycle boots, etc. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more, and maybe I'll see you soon on my next trip.